Prevention Week, and the DSU Student Hope Squad and Health and Counseling Center are actively raising awareness about mental health issues on campus.
If you are considering graduate school or don't know what you're doing after graduation, listen up. There is an opportunity to network and learn more about higher education at the Graduate School Fair on Monday. More than 80 graduate schools will gather in the Gardner Ballroom from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The event is free and open to all students, faculty, staff, and community members. The Graduate Fair is hosted by Career Services, which is located on the 5th floor of the Holland. If you dream of traveling the world, the Dixie State University Study Abroad program can get you there. The exchange program gives DSU students the opportunity to travel to Japan, Peru, and South Korea for a semester-long adventure. If a semester is too long, there are other short-term options available. Faculty leaders will be available to answer questions about offered locations at the Study Abroad Fair on Tuesday in the Gardner Center living room from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m.
So later we will have the local gourmet beverage Affogato West is expanding, but not in the way you may think. Elise West has been making preparations to sign for the entire building the coffee shop is located in, and finally has. West Village is now on its way and could be up and running as soon as November. The building will house a comedy and music club, a farmer's market on Wednesday nights, and other little shops on a day-to-day basis. Elise and her employees hope to create a friendly community environment while also creating an opportunity for greater St. George nightlife. Pride of Southern Utah is kicking off the 2019 St. George Pride Week on Sunday. This year's theme is Power and Unity. The entire week is full of activities and events where people can show their support for the LGBTQ community of St. George. Though the week is to empower, it's not without controversy. Community members have been leaving polarizing opinions on Facebook regarding the pride flags that have been hung up on St. George Boulevard. The week of festivities will end next Saturday with a Pride Festival at Town Square. For more information, visit prideofsouthernutah.org.
Dog owners need to be aware of a rare contagious disease that has made its way to St. George. Known as leptospirosis, this bacterial disease is spread through direct contact with an infected animal or even the water they drink from. Canines in the St. George area have been diagnosed with this disease as recently as the last week of August. Leptospirosis is not only contagious to other dogs, but to humans as well. If you notice unusual behavior from your dog or if they exhibit symptoms such as sudden fever, dehydration, or a runny nose, be sure to bring them into your vet. There is a vaccine for the disease, and antibiotics are proven to be 95% effective against the disease. On a lighter note, the Beehive State was just deemed the second happiest state in America. In 3 comprehensive categories, Utah ranked first in work environment, second in community and environment, and 15th in emotional and physical well-being. However, there is one list Utah doesn't rank well on: sexiest state. Utah is 44th, Illinois was number 1.
No offense to Chicago, but I'm kind of surprised they ranked number 1.
You really would think it'd be something like Hawaii or California, but I think I'm just biased.
What did California rank as?
4th, can you believe it? Ugh.
Fair enough.
When we come back, Jamie Dawley will be here to talk about our local St. George suicide rates and how you can take action.
Radio Dixie 91.3. We don't play that. Nope, not that. A big fat no there. That's what we play. And stuff like that. On St. George's only alternative, Radio Dixie 91.3. Oh, and from 9 till midnight, we play this. I need a one dance. And this. Radio Dixie 91.3 FM.
There is a place where rocks bleed and nature blushes on a battlefield green with envy, where dimples determine destiny and a tiny wooden T holds the outcome in the balance. There is a place where friends are opponents and opponents are friends, where the prize is elusive, the conquest is captivating, and the score isn't settled till the drinks are down. There is a place.
I take the road less traveled, run free, unwind, unravel, someplace outside with lots to do. Green trees, red rocks, and don't forget that blue sky. The sunshine shining, sunshine pouring on me. Think I might just stay a while. Say hooray all day because 'cause the sun is gonna shine on me, sun. It's gonna shine on me, sun's gonna shine on me.
Awkward. I'm the awkward silence. You try to avoid me, then there I am again.
But an awkward silence can be a great thing.
Like Kelly here is about to demonstrate.
You haven't really been yourself lately. Are you okay?
Find out how you can help a friend with their mental health at seizetheawkward.org.
This week is National Suicide Prevention Week, and the DSU Student Hope Squad and Health and Counseling Center are actively raising awareness about mental health issues on campus.
So this week we are offering Suicide Prevention Week on DSU campus, and that is because Utah is the 5th in the nation for death by suicide, and that makes Dixie State also part of a community within Utah. And so we know that students on our campus struggle with suicidal ideation and attempts, and so we wanted to bring awareness to our campus and take away the stigma as well in regards to suicide, because we want students to know that they are not alone and that there is help available to them should they need it, that they are important, that they matter, and we want them to be okay.
A semicolon represents and supports those dealing with a mental illness or a loss of someone from suicide.
It means supporting my brother, even though he's passed away. And towards you said? Just supporting the school.
Students showed their support by creating chalk art featuring uplifting messages on the sidewalk next to the Gardner Center.
Hope Squad's a suicide prevention group that students help other students struggling with depression, anxiety, or any kind of college struggles. So we have a lot of fundraisers going on. We have a Out of the Darkness walk coming up where we raise money for suicide prevention.
If you are interested in being a member of the DSU Hope Squad, you can visit the Health and Counseling Center for more information on how to join.
Joining us is Jamie Daly from the Health and Counseling Center. Hi, Jamie.
Hi.
So you guys are, the Health and Counseling Center is usually responsible for dealing with these students on campus. How does the Health and Counseling Center generally deal with emergencies such as suicide calls?
So if we have an individual that reaches out to us they're with a student that is actively suicidal, we actually advise them to contact 911 or dispatch and have medical personnel respond immediately. However, if a student is in crisis state but not actively suicidal or have engaged in a suicide attempt, they can come into our office for a free crisis appointment where they would meet with a mental health professional, and then from there we would assess whether or not there are safety measures that can be put into place for them to go home, or potentially if they need to be admitted to the Access Center through Dixie Regional Hospital.
So those are some interesting resources that you guys have. There's been the Health and Counseling Center has kind of evolved over the years. I noticed when I started figuring out about it was at a house kind of off campus, and now it's closer to campus and the name has changed. So tell me about how the center has evolved.
So a handful of years ago, the center was a house up behind the cemetery, and it was not really well known to students. There wasn't a lot of outreach done through the center, and so there was just a select handful of students that would access the services. Over the last few years, we had a new director join the Health and Counseling Center, Dr. Dylan Matsamori. Myself came on as a full-time therapist and outreach coordinator, as well as many other staff, and our goal was really to create awareness that we even existed for students. And so in the transition of that, we moved to a location that was revitalized and we're closer to campus, and we do a lot of outreach on campus to educate students that we exist as a service for them for no charge.
So with all these efforts, do you feel like students actually utilize the services you guys provide?
Absolutely. From staff that previously worked at the Health and Counseling Center at the old location, I think they see a handful of students here and there, and we have students that are accessing our mental health services every day, all day long.
Okay, so what measures are being put in place to bring constant awareness to suicide, depression, anxiety, and the like?
So one of our main things that we've tried to do is really targeting freshman students coming in. And so during this past summer, I go to freshman orientation and provide information to our incoming freshman students about our services that were available, and that they can reach out to us for any reason that they might feel like they need a mental health professional, not only if they're in a suicidal state. Also, along with that, we do a lot of campus outreach in regards to activities, events, and once again, that is to create awareness of our services. So students are accessing us. We also go into classrooms on a regular basis and provide information to students about our services, but also in regards to stress reduction techniques, understanding what mental health is and the spectrum of mental health, and what to do in regards to mental health if they feel like it's not in the place they want it to be.
I really appreciate that you guys are bringing that initiative. I really wish that I had known a lot more about it when I was a freshman. So with students that are struggling, and then with the topic of suicide, does Utah or St. George have any surprising suicide rates that people need to be made aware of?
So Utah sits within what is classified as a suicide belt, and that is just the top 10 states that are known for the greatest risk of death by suicide. And Utah, it fluctuates based upon statistic. However, we sit around number 5 in regards to death by suicide. And so that is just our state as a whole. We know that that also affects, suicide affects Southern Utah, and it also affects our campus. That's why we're doing Suicide Prevention Week this week, is because we had completed a survey called Achanacha amongst our student body, and when we had, as you can see out on our campus, there's numbers representing approximately 1,370 students had seriously considered death by suicide in the preceding year, and we had 310 students who had actually attempted suicide based upon the statistics from this survey that we did.
That is so tragic. Those numbers are so disappointing. But for students who really want to help, what signs can they look for in their friends and colleagues?
The biggest thing is paying attention to those around you, whether it be your peers, roommates, colleagues, and it's just paying attention to them as a person, being aware of them, being their friend. And if you notice anything starting to change with them, it is reaching out to them. And so people that may start to become suicidal may exhibit verbal or nonverbal cues. They may exhibit situational cues may come up, or they may have behavioral changes. And so it's just looking for something different, something out of the ordinary, and not hesitating and reaching out to them and telling them, hey, I've noticed you've been struggling with whatever that may be. I'm worried about you. Is there anything I can do to help you?
I think that opening up the conversation and having it be less taboo and being really open and just being really open, are you okay? And not being afraid to talk about it is really going to help too.
Absolutely. That's one of the biggest misconceptions of suicide, is that if we talk about it, we increase risk, and it's the contrary. If we talk about suicide, if we ask people if they're suicidal, it actually is going to decrease our risk dramatically.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Next up, we talk about the first football game loss of the season and how cross country is preparing for their pre-RMAC games.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a unique mix of all kinds of things. There it is. Keep going with it. Leo! They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love.
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Hey guys, how are you today?
Good.
I'm here to talk about how with technology you can make amazing worlds. Come with me. My team and I bring the Halo world to life.
Is that you?
That is me. I wasn't a math genius and I knew nothing about coding. But you guys do. You guys have the power to change things.
I want your job.
I want you to have my job.
They gave me Vicodin after my knee surgery. They kept prescribing it, so I kept taking it. I didn't know it would be this addictive. I didn't know how far I'd go to get more.
Opioid dependence can happen after just 5 days. Know the truth, spread the truth.
Back up the pass, he's gonna score! 22-yard touchdown!
DSU women's volleyball team dropped 3 of 4 matches in its weekend's tournament at home. The women's volleyball team lost its matches to St. Cloud State, Simon Fraser, and Northwest Nazarene by 3 sets to 0 in each match. The Trailblazers defeated Stanislaus State by 3-1 for their only win. After the tournament, the women's volleyball team final stats were 11.7 kills per set, 10.8 assists per set, 16 digs per set, and 2 blocks per set. Next match for the women's volleyball team will be away against Texas Permian Basin at the 2019 LCU Chap Classic Tournament tonight at 5 p.m. The Dixie State University football team lost in a blowout at home to Colorado State Pueblo by a final score of 36-7. The DC offense managed to put up 210 yards of total offense with Keen Mott, junior quarterback from South Jordan, throwing the ball, throwing the only touchdown to Jalen Powell, wide receiver from Los Angeles. Defensively, Alex Lilliard, senior defensive back from San Diego, had a career night with 11 tackles, 1.5 tackles for loss, and 1.5 sacks. The Trailblazers will look to bounce back in a road game against Fort Lewis on Saturday, September 14th at noon. Both men and women's cross-country teams will open up for its first race of the season at the Brigham Young University Autumn Classic race. The race will feature numerous Division I schools, with in-state rival Westminster College being the other only Division II school at the race. Both DSU cross-country teams took 5th place in last year's BYU Autumn Classic race, with BYU finishing the race in 1st place. The BYU Autumn Classic race will be on Saturday, September 14th at Provo. The men's soccer team looks to open up its first 2 home games of the season against Eastern New Mexico and Texas A&M International. DSU previously won its last game against Dallas Baptist by a final score of 1-0. Eastern New Mexico coming to this matchup winning its last game against Fort Hays State by a final score of 2-0. Texas A&M International also won its last game against the University of Mary by a final score of 4-1. DC will take on Eastern New Mexico tomorrow night at 7:30 p.m. and Texas A&M International on Sunday, September 15th at 1:30 p.m. at Trailblazer Stadium. The women's soccer team had a successful homestand by defeating Cal State San Bernardino and Seattle Pacific. The women's soccer team found the goal 6 times against Cal State San Bernardino with a final score of 6-1. The Trailblazers won an overtime thriller against Seattle Pacific by a final score of 2-1. The women's soccer team will head to Southern California for 2 road games against Point Loma tonight at 4:30 p.m. and Concordia Irvine on September 14th at 1 p.m. It's great to see the women's soccer team contributing to all the goals on both games. It's really, really good stuff to see.
Yeah, and it was impressive that they were able to do that with a rain delay.
With all the momentum, what are you looking forward to tonight?
I look forward to the soccer team to keep sharing the ball. It's working for them offensively, and why stop? Makes the dream work, right?
Absolutely, especially against Point Loma. And that's it for this week's Dixie Sun News at noon.
Catch us here next week, same time, same place.
Have a great week, Trailblazers.